graphic.
Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran, coming up in the next 30 minutes. India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri conveys New Delhi's concerns over attacks on minorities to the Bangladesh government. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi launches Bima Sakhi insurance scheme to empower women across the country. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh commissions the Indian Navy's warship INS Tushil at Russia's Kaliningrad. And US Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin says world surprised by how quickly Assad's Syria collapsed. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Panipat in the Indian state of Haryana, where he launched Life Insurance Corporation of India's initiative called Bima Sakhi Yojana to empower women aged 18 to 70 years who are Class 10 pass. These women will receive specialized training and a stipend for the first 3 years to promote financial literacy and insurance awareness. After their training, they can serve as LIC agents, and the graduate Bima Sakhis would have the opportunity to qualify for being considered for development officer roles in the LIC. The Prime Minister said women of India will play a vital role in fulfilling the vision of a developed India by the year 2047.
1947 से लेकर आज तक के कालखंड में हर वर्ग, हर क्षेत्र की ऊर्जा ने भारत को इस ऊंचाई तक पहुंचाया। लेकिन 2047 के विकसित भारत के संकल्प की सिद्धि के लिए हमें ऊर्जा के ढेर सारे नए स्रोतों की जरूरत है। ऊर्जा का ऐसा ही एक स्रोत हमारा पूर्वी भारत है, हमारे भारत का नॉर्थ ईस्ट है, और ऊर्जा का ऐसा ही महत्वपूर्ण स्रोत है हमारे देश की नारी शक्ति, भारत की नारी शक्ति। भारत को विकसित बनाने के लिए हमें अतिरिक्त ऊर्जा, ये कोटि कोटि हमारी माताएं बहनें हैं, हमारी नारी शक्ति है, वही हमारी प्रेरणा की स्रोत रहने वाली है। आज जो ये महिला सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप है, बीमा सखी है, बैंक सखी है, कृषि सखी है, ये विकसित भारत का बहुत बड़ा आधार स्तंभ बनेगी।
India's Prime Minister Modi said Rajasthan state is paving the way for a brighter future as he inaugurated the 3-day Rising Rajasthan Investment Summit on Monday. He called the summit a commendable effort, showcasing how Rajasthan is emerging as a hub for innovation, growth and entrepreneurship. He said the state was powered by a rich heritage, a culture of enterprise and progressive policies. He said India has achieved success in every sector through the mantra of reform, perform and transform, and become the world's 5th largest economy.
हर इन्वेस्टर भारत को लेकर बहुत ही उत्साहित है। रिफॉर्म, परफॉर्म, ट्रांसफॉर्म के मंत्र पर चलते हुए भारत ने जो विकास किया है वो हर क्षेत्र में नजर आता है। आजादी के बाद के 7 दशक में भारत दुनिया की 11वीं सबसे बड़ी इकोनॉमी बन पाया था। उसके सामने पिछले 10 वर्ष में भारत 10th लार्जेस्ट इकोनॉमी से 5th लार्जेस्ट इकोनॉमी बना है। बीते 10 वर्षों में भारत ने अपनी इकोनॉमी की साइज करीब करीब डबल किया है। बीते 10 वर्षों में भारत का एक्सपोर्ट भी करीब करीब डबल हो गया है। 2014 से पहले के दशक की तुलना में बीते दशक में एफडीआई भी 2 गुना से अधिक हुआ है। इस दौरान भारत ने इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का खर्च करीब 2 ट्रिलियन रुपए से बढ़कर 11 ट्रिलियन तक पहुंचा दिया है।
India on Monday conveyed its concerns over recent developments, including those related to the safety and welfare of the minorities, to the Bangladesh government. A discussion was held between India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri and Bangladesh's Foreign Affairs Advisor Mohammad Tawheed Hossain. India's Foreign Secretary Misri said India desires a positive, constructive and mutually beneficial relationship with Bangladesh. He said India looks forward to moving the relationship forward in a positive, forward-looking and constructive direction. He said India sees no reason why this mutually beneficial cooperation should not continue to deliver in the interests of both their peoples.
I have underlined today India's desire to work closely with the interim government of Bangladesh authorities. At the same time, we also had the opportunity to discuss certain recent developments and issues, and I conveyed our concerns, including those related to the safety and welfare of minorities. We also discussed some regrettable incidents of attacks on cultural, religious and diplomatic properties.
Earlier, the Indian official also held talks with his Bangladeshi counterpart, Jashimuddin. This is the first high-level engagement between India and Bangladesh after a political change there on the 5th of August. The last such meeting was held at New Delhi in November 2023. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh is in Russia, where he commissioned the Indian Navy's latest multi-role stealth guided missile frigate called the INS Sushil in Kaliningrad. Indian Navy Chief Admiral Dinesh K. Tripathi accompanied the minister. We now tell you more about the new warship. Now, India's newest stealth frigate is an upgraded Kryvak 3 class frigate. 6 of them are already in service, 3 Talwar class ships and 3 follow-on Teig class ships. The INS Sushil, the 7th in the series, is the first of 2 upgraded additional follow-on ships, the contract for which was signed in October 2016 between JSC Rosoboron Export, the Indian Navy and the Indian government. The ship underwent a series of extensive trials beginning in January this year. These trials included proving all Russian equipment fitted on board, including weapon firings. The ship would reach India in a near combat-ready condition, ready to deliver its effects from the word go. The ship stands as a symbol of the Indian Navy's undying commitment to safeguarding the nation's maritime frontiers. Upon commissioning, the INS Sushil will join the sword arm of the Indian Navy, the Western Fleet, under the Western Naval Command, and will rank amongst the most technologically advanced frigates in the world. Noida International Airport has achieved a significant milestone with the successful completion of its validation flight on Monday. The flight, conducted by Indian airline Indigo, verified the airport's approach procedures, confirming the accuracy and functionality of its navigational aids and air traffic control systems. It demonstrates Noida International Airport's adherence to stringent safety and operational standards required for commercial operations. India's Civil Aviation Minister Kinjarapu Rammohan Naidu was present on the occasion. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin says the world was surprised by the speed of Syria President Bashar al-Assad's fall from power. Austin was speaking in Japan while on his last trip to the Indo-Pacific as the U.S. Defense Secretary.
I think the entire international community was surprised to see that the opposition forces moved as quickly as they did, and I think everybody expected to see a much more stiff resistance from Assad's forces. So the speed at which that unfolded was surprising, I think, to most everybody in the international community.
UN Rights Chief Volker Turk has said any political transition in Syria following President Assad's ouster from power must include accountability for those responsible for crimes committed during his rule.
Any political transition must ensure accountability for perpetrators of serious violations and guarantee that those responsible are held to account. It is imperative that all evidence be collected and preserved meticulously for future use. Reform of the security apparatus will be key. This transition must also ensure that the tragedy of missing people is addressed.
Meanwhile, Syrians poured into streets firing celebratory gunshots after a stunning rebel advance reached the capital Damascus, ending the Assad family's 54-year rule. It raised questions about the future of the country and stability in the wider region. India is monitoring the situation. It's advocated for a peaceful and inclusive Syrian-led political process.
From palace to exile within days, Bashar al-Assad's iron grip on Syria is finally over. Al-Assad reached Russia on Sunday evening after fleeing the country. It was a stunning fall triggered by a lightning-fast offensive by the rebels that seized Damascus within a week. Syrian rebel commander Abu Muhammad al-Golani was greeted by the cheering crowds as he entered the historic Umayyad Mosque in Damascus.
This victory, my brothers, is a new chapter in the history of entire Islamic nation. It is a turning point for the region. How many dangers have we avoided? He handed Syria over to Iranian ambitions, spreading sectarianism and corruption throughout the country.
Russia confirmed that Assad and his family were granted asylum in Moscow, with the foreign ministry issuing a statement that following his talks with a number of participants in the armed conflict, Bashar al-Assad decided to step down as the Syrian president and leave the country. International leaders, including US President Joe Biden, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres hailed this as a historic opportunity for Syrians to rebuild their nation.
After 13 years of civil war in Syria, more than half a century of brutal authoritarian rule by Bashar Assad and his father before him, rebel forces have forced Assad to resign his office and flee the country. We're not sure where he is, but there's word that he's in Moscow. At long last, the Assad regime has fallen.
This is a historic day for the Middle East. The collapse of the Assad regime, the tyranny in Damascus, offers great opportunity, but also is fraught with significant dangers. This collapse is a direct result of our forceful action against Hezbollah in Iran, Assad's main supporters. It set off a chain reaction of all those who want to free themselves from this tyranny and its suppression.
India's Ministry of External Affairs said it was monitoring the situation in Syria. India advocated the need for all parties to work towards preserving the unity, sovereignty, and territorial integrity of Syria, and advocated a peaceful and inclusive Syrian-led political process respecting the interests and aspirations of all sections of the Syrian society. The Indian embassy in Damascus is in contact with the Indian community for their safety and security. Earlier, India issued an advisory to citizens to avoid all travel to Syria until further notice. At least 370,000 people, mostly women and children, have now been displaced in Syria due to the latest escalation in fighting, according to the UN Office for Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs. As night fell over Damascus without Assad for the first time in years, the city was eerily quiet, save for armed rebels patrolling its streets. The fall of Assad's regime is not just an end, but a new beginning for Syria, a nation that is now tasked with the monumental challenge of healing, rebuilding, and establishing a functional democracy run by the people. Bureau Report, DD India.
And still to come on DD India Live. South Korea's President Yoon Suk Yeol banned from foreign travel. And Taiwan on high alert after detecting Chinese warships near the island.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked, we just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. US President-elect Donald Trump outlined an assertive plan for his second term, pledging sweeping policy changes. In a recent interview, Trump said he plans to take executive action to end birthright citizenship on the first day in office. Now, birthright citizenship is conferred on anyone who is born in the US, irrespective of the parents' immigration status. Trump's plans to end birthright citizenship could face legal challenges, though. Trump has hinted at working with the opposition Democrats on the same. The citizenship right stems from an amendment to the US Constitution. Trump is expected to declare illegal immigration a national emergency and order a countrywide crackdown when he takes office. As of January 2022, the US government estimates that there are 11 million illegal immigrants in the country. Trump remains open to the idea of protecting so-called dreamer immigrants who were brought to the US illegally as children. South Korea's President Yoon Suk Yeol has been banned from traveling abroad by the country's official corruption investigation office. Yoon is under probe for his declaration of martial law last week. Now, this comes after the country's defense ministry said Yoon was still the commander-in-chief. Yoon's grip on power has come into question, with dissent growing among senior military officers against the president and his own party saying it would establish a task force to handle his eventual resignation. Yoon has rejected calls to step down despite a criminal investigation against him for alleged treason. Taiwan's military has raised its alert level after detecting Chinese warships near the island, Taipei said, as it prepared for likely drills by Beijing in response to President Lai Ching-te's US visits. Taiwan's defense ministry said it also spotted Chinese Coast Guard vessels. It said People's Liberation Army of China had restricted the airspace off the Chinese coast. There's been intense speculation about the possibility of China launching military drills in response to Lai's trip to the Pacific last week, which included stopovers in Hawaii and Guam. In Georgia, protests have entered the 11th day as thousands of demonstrators rallied against the government's decision to shelve European Union accession talks. Prime Minister Irakli Kobakidze's shock decision last week that EU candidate Georgia will not seek the opening of accession talks has triggered a fresh wave of protests. Earlier, the country's pro-Western opposition and the president rejected the ruling Georgian Dream Party's victory in 26 October parliamentary election, alleging electoral fraud. The result triggered massive protests against the party. An indelible symbol of India's rich cultural heritage, Mahakumbh will be held in the North Indian state of Uttar Pradesh from January 13th to 26 February 2025 on the sacred banks of the confluence of the Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati rivers. Uttar Pradesh Cabinet Minister A.K. Sharma led a roadshow for Prayagraj Mahakumbh 2025 in Ahmedabad, a city in the western Indian state of Gujarat. Preparations for this massive human congregation are underway. DD India's Meghna Dev caught up with the Uttar Pradesh Minister for Urban Development and Energy Arvind Kumar Sharma for more on the facilities and management for the event.
Grand and elaborate preparations are underway for the Mahakumbh 2025. We are talking about the Kumbh Mela, which is recognized as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity under UNESCO. And we are joined in by Cabinet Minister of Uttar Pradesh Government, A.K. Sharma ji. Thank you so much, sir, for talking to DD India. We are talking here about the preparations that are underway, wherein we will be seeing 450 million people, tourists, devotees, saints, people who are doing Kalpavas and more. What do you have to say? What kind of preparations can we see?
As you said, this is one of the biggest, rather the biggest gathering of human beings on the planet Earth. And no wonder UNESCO has recognized it as a intangible world heritage. All kinds of infrastructure development work had started almost a year back, rather more than that. And now it's on the verge of completion, including the expansion of the Allahabad Prayag Airport, Prayag Railway Station, and many other big developments have taken shape.
When we actually see the messaging, it's divine, grand and digital.
Yes.
What's more in terms of digital and technology?
Divine and grand, I have already explained. How it is digital, I will also explain. We have set up a very elaborate integrated command and control center enabled by all kinds of modern technology, including artificial intelligence, including machine learning, including face recognition techniques, including fire safety equipments, including transportation and traffic management systems.
Are we also inviting more foreign dignitaries and guests and ambassadors and people from different countries to come research or probably witness this?
Yes, definitely. We have written to all embassies, and through them we have sent invitation to our embassies all over the world also. We have sent invitations for the global community. And till yesterday's figure, if I can quote, 45 countries have already confirmed their participation.
Thank you so much, Minister, for talking to us. So it was a pleasure talking to you about the Mahakumbh preparations that are underway, which the whole world is looking up to and waiting with bated breath. With camera person Kunal, this is Meghna Dev for DD India from Gujarat.
Sanjay Malhotra, a 1990 batch IAS officer from the Rajasthan cadre, has been appointed the Reserve Bank of India Governor for 3 years. Malhotra is currently serving as a Revenue Secretary in the Ministry of Finance. As Revenue Secretary, Malhotra handled tax policy relating to both direct and indirect taxes. The India Internet Governance Forum 2024, which has Innovating Internet Governance for India as its theme, is currently on in New Delhi. The forum explores strategies for leveraging the internet to drive India's digital transformation while addressing governance challenges.
The India Internet Governance Forum 2024 brings together policymakers, industry leaders and experts to discuss the evolving landscape of internet governance in India. Delivering the keynote address, Jitin Prasad, Minister of State, Electronics and Information Technology, highlighted India's strides in fostering innovation, cybersecurity and e-commerce, stressing the importance of aligning internet governance with India's developmental priorities.
India Internet Governance Forum, IIGF 2024, a platform where we convene to deliberate on the future of internet governance, shaped by aspirations and ambitions of a digitally empowered India. This year's theme, Innovating Internet Governance for India, resonates deeply with our collective responsibility to ensure that the internet remains a driver of growth that is sustainable, inclusive, and equitable. The internet today is not merely a tool for connectivity, it is the backbone of our economies, societies, individual aspirations.
In his special address, S. Krishnan, Secretary, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, emphasized the need for robust policies to strengthen India's digital infrastructure and ensure equitable internet access.
We have 955 million users in India alone, and globally there are so many more. It has become a basic necessity for most people in their everyday life and everything that they do. It's very important that something which has become an essential part of everyone's everyday life is protected, conserved, made resilient, and we ensure that it is not weaponized against us.
Experts at the forum are engaging in panel discussions and workshops on topics such as data sovereignty, AI ethics, and digital inclusion, with a focus on creating a resilient and inclusive digital economy. The IIGF 2024 is a significant platform for shaping India's internet policies, paving the way for innovative solutions that address the governance. Kriti Vadera's report for DD India.
And India's public broadcaster Prasar Bharati has launched an OTT platform called Waves. Waves offers a complete infotainment ecosystem to digital media and OTT audiences. If you want great content for free, then download Waves now. That's all for this edition of DD India Live. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran from all of us here in New Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.